Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the very scenic track that is Spielberg, the Red Bull Ring in Austria for PRL.
You've just put in the fastest lap. Good job.
That fastest lap would not last as Maznat blasted into the 106 zeros. I did improve on my next lap, but unfortunately the next run was halted by that launch there, so I just had enough time to get back into the pits and put on my third set of ultras.
Standing by.
Although it said there wasn't sufficient time, that second that wasted could have been very costly, because I came across the line here with just 3 seconds left to set what would be my best lap of the session. Now, talking of Austria, that is this round, it's round 9. We're coming into this round on 100% podium strip this season, which is really nice, with 1/3, 5 second places and 2 wins. Those wins came in rounds 3 and 6. So if patterns are anything to go by, possibly round 9 could be another win. That hope is all I have to go on here, really, because Austria is one of my weakest tracks, and in the past on games that I've been really dominant on in other tracks, I found that Austria is sort of just a bit lacking, and I've just come up short, sometimes some seconds, some thirds, that sort of thing. And in fact, that's how this whole game has really been for me on 2017 compared to old games. Doesn't particularly bode well, but we'll give it our best shot. Something to note as well is that Dregler is not attending this race. He's currently P3 in the championship, having won 3 races, the most of anyone at this stage. And Maznat, therefore, is my closest rival. I couldn't quite beat him there. We did get our PB, a 106.0, and was just half a tenth off pole. As you can see, Craig and Honest Crook lined up on the second row, quite a margin between P2 and P3. Doesn't matter though, they're right behind us on the grid. So we know Maznat is strong. We have to get past him, because it is likely that on consistency around this track he'll be quicker, and the only consistency benefit I have is I'm less likely to make mistakes, as he almost cost me my front wing there with a very sideways moment across the exit curve. Thankfully, there was no damage to either of our cars, and neither of us spun out. Also, thankfully, he left some space here at turn 2. Not really sure why he left that much of a chasm between himself and the apex, but I took it, and from there he had a real big problem in the form of my car being very wide. Our cars, of course, are wider this season, but I made mine probably doubly as wide as anyone else could have expected.
Okay, entering lap 3 now. DRS has been enabled.
As you can see, I set the fastest lap, but Wayno quickly beat it, and if we look behind, I am holding up a train. You can see Wayno in the second Red Bull behind Maznat, and also Craig in that shot. And look how close they are to us. We've got, I think, more cars than just that in this train. I'm clearly holding them up. I could go faster, but at this point there isn't a reason to, because if I can hold them behind, I may as well keep the tyres in good nick for the rest of my stint and just have them use their tyres trying to get past. And Maznat was very close to losing his wing on a couple of occasions. He seemed stronger under brakes than I was. And indeed, I had to defend to the inside several times.
We're at +1 lap of extra fuel. Fuel target +1.
You'd think that with a better exit there, he might have been able to get me with DRS and the next turn. But let's see what happens. He's definitely closing in. I take the inside line, stay to the middle of the track, don't need to go all the way to the inside, and there's just no way past. Perhaps this would be frustrating for not only Maznat, but Wayno behind trying to hold off Craig. Anyhow, we see in the background, you have to have an eagle eye to catch it, but there was some damage there to Wayno, unfortunately, and that would drop him a bit back from the front too. Now that was the only mistake I made that race, the only warning I got. And on lap 12, I didn't need to pit, as you saw those tyre wear figures there, but I decided it was best to do it now so I wouldn't be undercut. And as you can see, the car in the third place followed me, and that was Kart Dude, who'd caught up to Mazda and I at the time, with everyone else either having already pit or made a mistake. Now, perhaps Maznat should have gone in that lap,
Exit now. You'll be racing as you leave the pits.
but we saw later on his live stream that he actually intended to, but didn't quite make it in the pits. Either way, we're going to come out still in front of Kart Dude, thankfully. That was a worry briefly.
Our gap to the car in front is 1.8 seconds.
And the car in the pits there is Maznat, so not only have I maintained my lead, but Kart Dude has undercut him into position 2. Now we just have to wait for the cars who had started on harder compounds to pit. HSV was the first one there on the super soft, going in at the end of lap 14, and that would leave Rain in the lead. That's Force 1 for anyone who doesn't know. Sometimes a commentator, sometimes a racer. It's always good to have him on track there. And he pits at the end of lap 16 as Maznat tries to catch up to P2, which is now Kart Dude. And I have a 2-second lead. Fairly comfortable at the time, although it wasn't as comfortable when I saw that Maznat overtaking Kart Dude for P2. And he would set off after me, and by lap 27, it was battle resumed from the first stint. This time Kart Dude had actually dropped off, so it was just the two of us, and once again I adopted the inside line up into the second braking zone of the lap. Bit of contact there. It turned out he actually got onto the curb and a bit of the grass. Thankfully neither of our front wings suffered any damage. Shout out to Honest Crook for the fastest lap. That's his second of the season. Once again a move at this same corner. Apparently there was contact. I thought I left enough room for one car's width and force him onto the apex, which hopefully meant he wouldn't get great traction. Turns out the traction he got was almost enough to get down the inside once again. Again I leave one car's width. And it didn't look like there was contact that time, but this time I have to defend into the next turn, which is a bit of a stressful manoeuvre because around the outside you can get some good traction on the exit, although not quite enough. And I was careful not to turn across him there and adopt the racing line. Could have ended in disaster for both of us. Talking of disaster, look how close he is. This is amazing racing. Didn't expect him to get such a good exit, but unfortunately for him there's no way through. And fortunate for me, of course, that I could maintain the lead. And indeed I get a pretty good exit there, so I wasn't under threat into the next turn. Once again, he had a look around the outside. This time though, I think he was more aiming to get a good run out of the corner, so he's closer this time than he's ever been before on this DRS straight. Possibly the best overtaking opportunity on the track. He goes to the outside and he's actually drawn past the front wing of our car, but I outbrake him and maintain the position. Once again he has overlap on the right, so I'm careful not to move over and take us both out. You can see his front wing just in front there, but he seems to lose traction on his screen. There was actually contact involved, so unfortunate little bit of lag there.
This is your final lap of the race.
As you can see, battle is so heated that Kart Dude is catching up, and this is the final lap of the race. Look how close Maznat is. I was kind of confident, very wary and a little bit of adrenaline coming in, but I was pretty confident I could do this. And going into this braking zone with quite a lead, I thought, oh, this looks like it's done and dusted, but then I looked back and must have been a better line than usual through there, and he was right on us. Perhaps his final opportunity, or if he can draw level, he might have some further opportunities around the rest of the lap. You can see a bit of a lock up there as he draws to our outside. There was a bit of contact.
Less than a lap of fuel now. The tank is empty.
My aim was to leave him one car's width and hoped that he would have to go on the curb and lose some traction. It seemed that I got drawn into his path a little bit with a bit more contact, so perhaps a little bit of lag at an inopportune time for him. Either way, it means that we have the lead, but all of a sudden he gets a massive burst of speed. I think there was some definite lag involved in that. He certainly didn't look like he was getting that great a run off the corner, and I look back to see a bit of contact between P2 and P3. Didn't affect the end result between the two of them because Kart Dude had a 3-second penalty and Maznat would retain P2, but what an exciting race. Unbelievable. GG to Maznat, really enjoyed that. Kart Dude, great job as well for the podium. And this great result for Sauber is backed up by Danny in P4. It's been a long time since I've had a battle like that, and I really appreciate how clean everyone was in that. Unfortunately there was a bit of lag, but these things happen. See you guys next time in Silverstone.